Welcome to Done with Debauchery, a sobriety and wellness podcast where you'll hear honest experiences about navigating life and relationships without alcohol, how to pursue your own personal wellness journey, and share intimate conversations with special guests. I'm your host, Keisha Scott. You guys, hello and welcome back to the first episode of 2023. I guess considering it's February 1st, the window has passed for me to say Happy New Year. I know in my last episode, I said you could expect to hear from me on Wednesday, January 18th, and that didn't happen. And then you didn't get an episode the week after that. Now here we are, January is over, it's officially done, dry January is done, and you're hearing my voice for the first time this year. The truth is, I really just needed a little bit of a break. As much as I love recording these episodes, recording reels for Instagram, and hosting conversations with other sober, like-minded people, I was tired. I needed a little more time for myself than I originally expected when I said the 2-week break, and that translated to taking an additional 2 weeks from recording. But if I'm being honest, I miss talking to you. Before I get into the juicy parts of the episode, I do have a little housekeeping announcement. Moving forward, Done with Debauchery episodes are going to be released bi-weekly. So instead of every Wednesday, you'll get to hear from me every other week. This just feels right for the time being. With so many other things going on in my life right now, I don't want to give up the podcast, and I also don't want to show up inconsistently and not put out episodes on the days that you're expecting them. So where should I start? Obviously, I'm a little late on the New Year's update, but if you follow me on Instagram, you probably would have seen that this year, instead of setting resolutions, I set some intentions for the year. Personally, I'm not one for resolutions. I never have been. I feel like I'm notorious for making a big list of unrealistic expectations for myself, and sometimes I don't even start them, which just doesn't feel good and can feel like I'm letting myself down. So this year, I tried to be a little more kind to myself, and I set intentions. Think more of the way I want to live and how I want to show up for myself, instead of all these things I need to do every day to make myself a better person. The biggest intentions for me this year are to focus on progress and not perfection, and to feel free to try new things without the fear of failure. This is something that I've really been exploring through my sobriety as I try to find new hobbies and things to do that don't involve drinking alcohol. I think I do have some perfectionist tendencies, and over the years, my fear of failure or not being good enough has really stood in the way of my adventurous side, or the side of me who maybe wants more in certain aspects of my life. Not anymore. We're done with that. We're leaving it all in 2022. I feel like that risk of failure that I just mentioned and the fear of trying new things really ties into the majority of what I wanted to talk about today, which is my upcoming 1-year sobriety milestone. As you're listening to this, my 1-year sober anniversary is only 3 days away, and I honestly can't believe it. 1 year feels like it flew by, but at the same time, I know so much has happened in my life. There's a quote in my sobriety tracker app that I love, and it says, "Day by day, nothing changes, but when we look back, everything is different." That quote perfectly sums up how I feel right now, and for the last several days, weeks, and months even, it hasn't really felt like I've made any huge strides towards change or any kind of real progress in my sobriety, because I feel like I've just been coasting. I'm past the point where I crave alcohol. I don't feel tempted to drink when I go out with friends, and I can walk by the liquor store or the wine store without batting an eye. And for the last several months, that's how it's felt. I feel like I've completed the transformation from someone who was really struggling and trying to stop drinking to someone who just simply doesn't drink. And I really don't say that to minimize anyone else's experience, especially someone who may be going through that phase right now when it is really hard to stop, no matter how far along in their sobriety journey. That's just what I've been feeling. But if I sit back and reflect on the things that have actually happened in my life in the last 12 months, I can't believe how far I've come. I could actually cry thinking about it. Removing alcohol from my life permanently took so many tries and so many tears, but I can say with 100% certainty that it was all worth it to be sitting here today. I can't even put the feelings that I have right now into words, besides the fact that I'm just so proud of myself. One of the biggest changes in my life and one of the biggest gifts that I've gotten from my sobriety so far is starting a new job and changing my career. For so long, it felt like I was stuck in a job that I never wanted to begin with, but I couldn't break out of it because I had this level of comfort in the people, comfort in the hours, and the environment that this job kept me in, and the lifestyle that it allowed me to keep living. Basically, a lifestyle of drinking. My sobriety forced me to look at every part of my life. And I mean, really look at it, break it open, and see what was working for me and what was making me miserable. And my job was making me miserable, and it was allowing me to drink. I'd been contemplating taking some courses to further my education in the hopes of being able to make a career change, but I couldn't do it. For so long, I had screenshots of what the courses were, how much they were, and the start date would continue to come and go without me signing up. I was too scared of failure, and because I had low self-esteem, low self-worth, and I was in a depression, and I was drinking. Truly, I was in this cycle of drinking because I was unhappy and then being unhappy because I was drinking. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. Something eventually had to change, so I signed up for the courses, and I just knew in my gut that I wouldn't be successful if I was trying to do these courses while I was drinking. So shortly after I started them, I drank for the last time. And guess what? I did so well in those courses. Done with Debauchery was actually born and created through one of my school assignments. And now I've got a new job in the field I wanted with an amazing company. I felt like for so long I would hear so many people say that they accomplished more in their first year of sobriety than they did in 5 or 10 years drinking. And it sounded cheesy, like it was almost like they're trying to recruit you with how productive you're going to be. But it's literally true. It's all connected. When there is so much going on in your life that you aren't happy with, it can be really hard to know where exactly to start and what you need to change first. But I promise you, if you want to change your life, change your relationship with alcohol. My sobriety day is extra special to me. Not only is it a milestone for me, but it marks the birthday of a very dear friend who I lost to her own addiction. It's something that I've never really talked about on the podcast, and I'm not ready to go into any details now. And I don't know if I ever will be, to be completely honest, but because the day holds so much significance, it's even more important for me to mark it in a way that's meaningful and feels special. I got so much feedback from you on Instagram on how I should celebrate. There were a lot of suggestions of going on a trip, which I do love the idea of, but unfortunately it's not possible right now with the new job. But I did take your recommendations to heart. I appreciate you sending them in. So far, I've ordered a cake, which I'm really excited about, and I'm planning on booking a massage. I also want to give myself some space to follow my feelings on that day because I'm not sure what's going to come up for me. But here's to 1 year alcohol free. Stay tuned for the recap on my Instagram and on the next Done with Debauchery episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support through this crazy thing we're doing called sobriety. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you next time. This is Keisha signing off on another episode of Done with Debauchery. If you liked what you heard, please share and subscribe. You can also find me at donewithdebauchery.com or follow along on Instagram at donewithdebauchery. Thanks for listening.